This podcast is sponsored by the online course, Intro to Psychology, with Dr. Bo Bennett, PhD. Uncover the secrets of the human mind and transform your life at introtopsych.com. Start your journey today.
Understanding the social psychology of learning, how we learn together. Discover how social psychology shapes the way we learn through interaction, motivation, and group influence in this engaging overview of psychological concepts. The social psychology of learning, why we learn together. Hey, so I was thinking about something pretty fascinating the other day, how much of what we learn isn't just about the facts or information itself, but really about the social context in which learning happens. You know, how we pick things up not just by sitting alone with a book, but through interaction, influence, and sometimes just watching others. It's this whole field called the social psychology of learning, and I figured it's definitely one of those psychology topics that aren't often given the spotlight outside of classrooms, but it's central to how our brains and behavior work. See, the social psychology of learning combines two big areas: social psychology, which studies how people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by others, and learning theories, which explain how we acquire knowledge and skills. When you mix these, you get rich insights into how our social environment shapes what and how we learn. Learning isn't a solo activity. We tend to think learning is this personal thing, like you read a textbook, watch a video, memorize some facts, and bam, you know it. But actually, a huge part of learning comes from social interaction. For example, when you watch a friend demonstrate how to solve a problem, or someone explains their thought process, you're learning not just from the content, but through social cues like tone, body language, encouragement, and feedback. One classic psychological concept here is Albert Bandra's social learning theory. Bandra argued that we learn behaviors and skills by watching others, which he called modeling. Think about observational learning, kids copying adults, or even adults learning new skills through watching a YouTube tutorial. Bandura's work was really groundbreaking because it shifted the focus from just rewards and punishments to the importance of observing and imitating. Group learning and social influence. When we take intro to psychology classes, especially those touching on psychology education, we see that learning often takes place in groups for a reason. Social settings provide motivation, accountability, and different perspectives, all of which enrich the learning experience. To break it down. Motivation. Being part of a group can boost your drive to learn. If you're the only one slacking off, you probably feel that social pressure to catch up. Feedback. You get immediate reactions from peers and instructors, which guides you in refining your understanding. Perspective taking. Others may approach problems differently, so you get exposed to new ways of thinking. That's why Psychology 101 classes often encourage group projects or study groups. They tap into these social psychological concepts whether students realize it or not. How social norms shape learning. Another interesting aspect is how social norms and cultural context influence what we learn and how we learn it. A behavior that's rewarded or reinforced in one group might be ignored or frowned upon in another. This means that cultural and social groups essentially shape what knowledge is considered important or valuable. Think about the classic classroom rules that aren't always written down, but everyone just knows. Raise your hand to speak, don't interrupt, be respectful. These norms create a certain environment that either facilitates or impedes learning. From a social psychology standpoint, conforming to these unwritten rules helps maintain order and predictability, providing a framework for learning to happen more smoothly. Social identity and learning. There's also the role of social identity, how we see ourselves in relation to the groups we belong to. Imagine a student who identifies strongly with being part of a math club or a book club. Their learning experience is coloured by that identity. They're more likely to invest effort because the group itself supports and values that knowledge. This is connected to in-group, out-group dynamics studied in social psychology. People tend to be more motivated and receptive to learning when they feel like they belong to a group that shares their goals and values. If someone feels isolated or marginalized, it can seriously impact their willingness and ability to learn effectively. Technology and the social psychology of learning. Now, in today's world, the social aspect of learning has expanded dramatically thanks to technology. Online forums, social media groups, and collaborative platforms let people learn collectively even from a distance. The key psychological concepts don't change, they just shift in how they manifest. Because of these tools, learning communities can be more diverse and accessible. However, the need for social interaction remains just as strong. So even virtual learning environments benefit hugely from incorporating social elements, discussion boards, video calls, peer feedback, and collaborative assignments. All perfect examples of social psychology at play. How this connects to Intro to Psychology education. When people think of an Intro to Psychology course, they often expect a pack of theories about the mind. But what's often surprising is how much social psychology focuses on real-world learning experiences, something every student encounters, no matter their field. If you're curious about these concepts, or want a well-grounded introduction to a wide range of psychological theories, I highly recommend checking out the Intro to Psychology course by Dr. Bo Bennett on the Verversity.com platform. It's an accessible way to explore how people learn, think, and interact with each other in social contexts. Enroll now to understand human behavior and enhance your grasp of how social psychology comes into play in every learning situation, from classrooms to workplaces to everyday conversations. Psychology education like this can really change how you see your own learning process, and how you might help others learn better too. So next time you're struggling with that new skill or concept, remember, learning isn't just about working solo, it's about the people around you and how that interaction shapes your path. It's kind of comforting to know that we're wired for social learning. It's built into who we are.